Coming up on Varsity Sports, we've got highlights from last Friday's action, including an upset in North Dakota and several unbeaten teams suffering their first loss of the season.
Plus, get to know one of the best running backs in the region. We go one-on-one with Mikey Daniel.
Top performers, plays, and picks of the week all coming up next on Varsity Sports. Welcome to Varsity Sports. Tom Neiman along with Jason and Dara. About time we had an upset in a big school in North Dakota. These teams were cruising along until this point, midpoint in the season.
Yeah, sometimes you look at these games and just say you chalk up a 40-10 or something like that. And sometimes you get a surprise, and we got a few surprises to show you coming up in this show. All
right, let's get started with a look at last week's action in the South Dakota Rewind, starting with Brookings at Harrisburg. Now, the Bobcats got started with 2 touchdowns against the undefeated Tigers on the homecoming in Harrisburg, but Harrisburg came back, took a 14-12 lead at halftime. Harrisburg had a chance to take a lead in the fourth quarter, but on 4th and 2, Brookings gets a stop on the 9-yard line. Brookings then makes a couple of big plays on the ensuing drive. They go in and score twice to take the lead, and they hold on to beat Harrisburg 25-20.
Tough game. They kind of stifled us offensively the first half, and our kids just kind of dug in and got it done. Our kids ran hard. They did everything we asked them to do the second half, and so we're proud of our kids. It was a great effort.
Just finishing tonight. The last 2 weeks, I think we lost 2 good games, 2 very good teams, but I think at the end of the day, we knew we could have walked away with them. It didn't happen, so we knew we had to rebound tonight.
Roosevelt was on the road against Mitchell. The Riders were without a couple key players, but did score the first 21 points of the game. Then they held on for a 35-6 win over Mitchell. Sophomore Tyson John ran 15 times for 108 yards and a touchdown. Starting quarterback Jet Thune was injured in the game, but he is expected to be back for Friday's game against Stevens.
All right, Rapid City Central at Sioux Falls O'Gorman, and O'Gorman capitalized on 6 Cobbler turnovers in this game. The Knights rode their way to a 53-6 win. Quarterback Luke Fritsch completed all 4 of his passes. He also ran for 71 yards. Dodie McQuinja was back in full force for O'Gorman with 13 carries and 92 yards and a touchdown for McQuinja.
On a special edition of Thursday Night Football, we had Huron visiting Sioux Falls, Washington. The Warriors quickly got out to a 50-0 lead over Huron at halftime. Washington got 3 touchdowns on returns. They only needed 24 offensive plays in this game to take down the Tigers by a score of 57-7.
All right, come on, Tigers. Going to Winter at St. Thomas More for the 8th consecutive time. St. Thomas More fails to beat the Winter Warriors. Winter comes out on top. Back and forth game started out with a defensive touchdown by Brendan Harder on the first play of the game. Winter used their trademark power running game to rack up 302 yards on 59 carries. Terrell Haley and Sam Nas both going over the 100-yard mark. Matt Eastmo led St. Thomas More with 49 yards rushing, and he was 14 of 25 passing for 171 yards for the Cavaliers.
And now we move to Madison, where Laverne takes on the top-ranked Bulldogs. In the last minutes of this game, Connor Crabtree turned the tides for Laverne, giving them a 27-20 win over Madison. With the score tied at 20, Crabtree secured an interception, and then he caught the game-winning touchdown with just 12 seconds left, a 47-yard catch from Connor Hoffman. Big win for the Cardinals.
All right, West Central at Canton, and the lead was not safe for either of these teams in this ball game. West Central and Canton trade scores early, but it was the Trojans and their creative play calling that eventually wins the game here. Cody Bussell did it all in 3 phases of the game for the Trojans, ends up with 118 yards on 12 carries and 4 touchdowns in this game for Cody Bussell for West Central. For more on the action in South Dakota, let's send it over to Craig Mattick, our guest this week with Jason and Dara.
Thanks, Tom. I'm joined by Craig Mattick now of Sioux Falls Sports Radio, KWSN, to get his take. He's always got a good take on high school football. Let's get started in 11 AAA. Right now, to me, it seems pretty clear-cut. Lincoln's beat all the good teams. They're right at the top.
Yeah.
Is there anything I'm missing here?
Not right now. Not right now. I mean, Lincoln, the defending champs, they're getting the job done. Pretty tough to go back-to-back even in AAA. And right now, Lincoln has that edge. But Roosevelt, if they can get Taryn Christian back, and that's a big question. Is he going to come back And if he does come back from that ankle injury, how healthy is he going to be? How deep in the playoffs? I mean, you don't go very deep in the playoffs in AAA because you only basically have 2 games. If Christian comes back, that sets Roosevelt on a bigger dimension that the teams have to worry about. But I look at it, Lincoln right now. If there's a dark horse, it is O'Gorman and Brandon Valley. I think Brandon Valley is one of those teams. They have the quick strike. They have that 1-2-3 punch. Como's having a great year for Brandon Valley. And for O'Gorman, they got size. And I really think, though, that we're going to see O'Gorman, Brandon, Lincoln, Rosie. Those are going to be the 4 teams that will fight it out in the semifinals. Probably O'Gorman, Lincoln, and then Roosevelt and Brandon Valley in the semis.
Yeah, let's move to 11 AA now. Another pretty interesting class. A lot of teams in play here. Who do you like in 11 AA?
Yankton, I think, is the favorite. I've seen Yankton a couple of times. They've got a great coach. They're undefeated right now. They have the top seed, and I think Brookings and Harrisburg would be your other 2 teams there. Harrisburg and Brookings just played each other. Brookings, I think, has that 1-2-3 punch as well with Maxwell and Daniel and Bird. I think eventually it's going to be Yankton Brookings in the final.
Yeah. Let's move on to this weekend slate of games. Some big ones to talk about. We're going to see how good Harrisburg is. They have a tough game against Lincoln.
Yes, they have to rebound. Let's see how good of a team they are. If they're going to be mentioned in the 11 AA ranks, see how well they go up against number 1 Lincoln. Pierre and Yankton play, and that one is at Pierre. I know you like Pierre. Yankton, this will be their third game in 7 days, so that'll be interesting for them. Other than that, I looked also with West Central to Del Rapids, Parkston, Tri-Valley. I think those are going to be the fun games.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on those, and I know you guys keep an eye on those too. Do a great job of keeping those updated throughout Friday night, and we really appreciate that.
Thanks, Jason.
You bet. All right, well, when we come back, we are going to take a look at North Dakota teams. There's a few unbeaten teams that went down. We'll hear from Vern Muir on the big Red River win.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by AE Tech Electrical Training Center in Rapid City. Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports, and time for the rewind now north of the border between South Dakota and North Dakota. Let's go to the North Dakota rewind, and this is the upset you were talking about, Jason. Fargo-Davies at Grand Forks Red River. Homecoming at Red River, and they made a second-half comeback to make their alumni and students proud in this one. The Riders beat previously unbeaten Davies 28-20. Austin Reynolds, another huge night, 2 blockbuster runs. And it was Derek Murph's touchdown toss to Braden Hansen with just over 3 minutes left to take that 28-20 lead. And Red River hangs on to win it by a touchdown.
Yeah, it felt good, because we played Fargo South a couple weeks ago here, and we didn't quite do enough to get the win at the end. As a coaching staff, we're still not mature enough yet to handle these situations. We're freaking out over here. We lost 2 good players today in our game. We lost Ty Strauss again and Zach Ranasat, so we'll have to see how that goes. But the guys that came in and played for them, did a great job.
It's a breath of fresh air, honestly, because it's all the hard work we put in this summer, everything we did is paying off, and now we come as a team, anything's possible. It gave us all hope.
Unbeaten Fargo South taking on West Fargo Cheyenne now. It was 21-14 at halftime, but it was the Bruins who exploded for 42 second-half points to overtake the Mustangs 63-22. Ty Brooks led the team in rushing with 170 yards, and he led the team in receiving with 50 yards. James Johannesson ran for 160 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns.
Let's go to West Fargo at Grand Forks Central. The Packers had as close to a perfect game as you can get. West Fargo jumps all over Grand Forks Central, didn't let them back into the game. 57-0 is the final. Isaiah Helen Davis ran for 133 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Packers. And the West Fargo defense turned in a very good performance, yielding just 1 first down, and they held Grand Forks Central to minus 22 yards of total offense, and that is 4 wins in a row now for West Fargo.
Impressive to say the least. Let's move now to the WDA, where Jamestown took on Bismarck. Jackson Ford, he was efficient on the ground, netting 4 touchdowns on just 7 carries. Ford ran for 128 yards total. Hayden Gibson, their quarterback, hooked up with John Tharaldson for a score as well and the route was on from there. 63-14 win over Jamestown. Bismarck now gets ready to hit the road to play Minot on Friday.
One of the best battles of the night was in Double-A, where Shanley was on the road at Wahpeton. Shanley took advantage of some Husky turnovers to pull away in this one. Shanley's Matthew Bird threw the ball well. 7 of 11, 125 yards and a touchdown. But the Shanley defense was the star. They hold Wahpeton to 6 points, and the final's 34-6. Wahpeton quarterback Carson Zarek threw for 201 yards in the defeat on a windy night in Wahpeton.
Well, I tell you what, Matt's a gamer. He's just a sophomore, and tell you what, he ran the ball really well tonight. And Zach he's not a speedster, but I'll tell you what, he's a downhill guy that we really like. We got to take care of business next week, I guess. We've got Central Cass, who's only got 1 loss on the year in the region, and they're not a bad team. They played Wahpeton to a 24-12 game, I believe. So they're capable, and we're just going to have to continue to play well.
Now it's time to turn it over to our high school expert from the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead, Tom Mix. Tom, we bring you in now to talk about Shanley. This team has improved a lot. Just how much have they improved since that opening loss to St. Mary's?
I think they're a little bit better defensively than they were in that game. It looks like they've been really committed to playing that not give up, bend, don't break defense. So they're a really stingy defensive team, even though they can at times give up a little bit of yardage.
Let's shift now to AAA football in the EDC. Very tight at the top. Do you see any separation coming soon?
I think it's pretty close there at the top 3 spots. Really also, you could probably include Red River there. They've given Fargo South and Fargo Davies a game, and you saw last week Davies lost 28-20 up in Grand Forks. So I really don't count on a lot of separation here the next 3 weeks. I think it's going to really, the conference is going to be determined the last game of the year, and that's October 24th when West Fargo plays at Fargo South. Davies closes with North, but that West Fargo-Fargo South matchup likely will determine the East Region champion or the Eastern Dakota Conference champion as well.
Thanks once again to Tom Mix of the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead. Now, stay tuned. Later in the show, we go one-on-one with a player who chose to leave the area and get noticed, but now he's back having a great senior season. But next, we take a look at some of the top performers from last week's games. Stay with us.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by AE Tech Electrical Training Center in Rapid City. Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports. Time to take a look at the top performers of the week, starting in South Dakota, Jandy. And Cody Bussell, 4 total touchdowns for West Central, but you want to look at a couple of 9-man players in this.
I do. Austin Handel of Minot Marion, 290 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns, but more importantly, it was an important game that they won, beating Bridgewater Emory Ethan. And let's take a look West River. Brandon Cook, they got a 50-0 win over Wall because of his performance. Only 9 carries, 209 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That's a half dozen.
Top performers in North Dakota, starting with Jackson Ford at Bismarck.
Yeah, you got to like what Jackson Ford did. He didn't need to carry it very much, but when he did, he made it count, and he made it count early in the game. And then Austin Reynolds at Grand Forks Red River, once again hitting the home run. Multiple 50-plus yard plays this season. 2 big ones this last Friday.
Chris Kraft at Bismarck Century, 2 touchdowns running, 2 passing in that overtime loss to Dickinson. All right, later we make our picks, but stay tuned next to meet the man responsible for bringing the swag back to Brookings.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by AE Tech Electrical Training Center in Rapid City. Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports. Now, it doesn't take much time to realize that Mikey Daniel is full of uncommon combinations. His body is cut like a power lifter, but he's light on his feet like a dancer. When it comes to reaching his dreams, he's laser focused, but when his team's having a good time, he loves to dance and have a good time too. He's reaching for big things, but he appreciates the little things. We go one-on-one with this one-of-a-kind senior from Brookings. Mikey Daniel is one of the most feared runners to barrel through South Dakota in years. He broke onto the scene as a sophomore when he gained nearly 1,000 yards rushing. Now, he's a leader for one of the best teams in the state. Daniel's football skills, raw athleticism, and love for the game got him noticed by a regional recruiter for the IMG Football Academy in Bradenton, Florida. There he was extended an offer to play prep football last season.
The days down there are exhausting, and it was kind of a lot like college, getting me ready for college, and that's exactly what it is college prep school. So we went to school for 4 hours a day, and then we would practice from anywhere between 2 to 7, 1 to 7. It didn't matter. We were out there all day.
This academy has featured some of the best football players in the nation. This year, Mikey has returned home to South Dakota to play his senior season in Brookings. Mikey doesn't regret his decision to play in Florida for a year.
Yeah, I don't regret it at all. 100% believe that it was the best thing for me. And just because now I know what college is like. Down there, football, it was the job. You know, that you lived, you ate, you slept, you breathed football. That's all there was to it.
Daniel came back from Florida stronger, smarter, and grateful for a chance to play for his school and hometown.
Yeah, well, there was times last year where we had games on TV, you know, broadcasted over 6 million people. We'd have 15 to 20,000 fans in the stands, but it's an empty feeling. It really is. And when I'm here in Brookings and I'm in this community with my loved ones, with my friends, the game feels so much better. It feels like I'm doing it for a certain reason other than just to play, to fill the stands. Other than just a job.
Right now, he has his sights set on a big-time scholarship. As a sophomore, Mikey got his first letter of interest from Nebraska. And this summer, he got his first full-ride offer from Army. In between, he's generated interest from several FBS and FCS schools. He's enjoying the attention, but admits it can be stressful.
The recruiting process is very stressful. It's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but it's very, very stressful. There are days where things aren't always going the way that you want them to, and coaches are telling you this thing, they're telling you that, come to our school, come to our campus here, and it gets kind of stressful. You know, they want you all to come to camp. It's a lot of traveling, a lot of visits, and there's some days where it gets to me and I just want to break down and cry. Like it gets that stressful, but it's definitely I've been enjoying it for sure.
Right now, Daniel is turning his attention to the football field and not on the recruiting process. Daniel and his teammates put an extraordinary amount of preparation in this offseason. The hard work is paying off. They've yet to lose a game in 11AA, and they're in prime position to drive for a deep postseason run.
You know, Mikey's a talent, and he's a real physical kid, but the thing that Mikey brings back to our team is a little bit of that personality, a little bit of swagger, a little bit of, it just seems that kids pick up their game when they're on the field with him. They play it with a higher level of intensity, and partly because he expects it. So his leadership, his work ethic, one of the hardest working kids we've ever had. You know, he's a good student, he's a good kid, and those kinds of things, you know, when you lose a kid like that for a year, we kind of had a void. And now that he's back, you can see the whole level of everybody's playing piece.
When we come back, time to make our picks on some of the biggest games of the week.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by AE Tech Electrical Training Center in Rapid City. Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports, and it's time to pick 'em. Jay Elson, actually this season, you've picked one more game correctly than he has overall, but he leads you in points.
Yeah, let's point that out, that I am more accurate in my picks, but he is blowing me away in the upset picks. He nearly gets the upset pick right every single week.
And that is bonus points.
Yeah, you get 2 points for that. You're not penalized for getting that one wrong.
All right, first game this week, Bismarck at Minot.
Bismarck, Minot. Bismarck is on a roll, folks. I mean, Minot has got a couple of the best players in the state in Carter Gorney and Ben Belinsky in their backfield. But when you talk about Bismarck, they're loaded up and down the roster. I think this is where they really show that they are the best team in the state. A big win over Minot on the road.
On behalf of Jay Elson, I'm picking Bismarck on the road. West Fargo at Fargo-Davies.
This is the best game of the week by far. West Fargo is on a roll. 4 wins in a row right now. Creighton Fowl not having to pass the ball too much because they've got so many guys in that running game doing the job. Isaiah Hill and Davis. Of course, Sam Olson, who's been their workhorse all season long. And I think they keep it moving. Davies, they've got a quarterback with a little ankle issue. He's going to play, Aiden Hartness, but don't look for him to be as productive as normal. I'm taking the Packers on the road.
I would still take Davies myself, but Jay Elson will select West Fargo in this game.
For the record.
In South Dakota, Yankton at Pierre.
Yankton at Pierre. This is the sneaky one of the week. There's always one game that doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. I think it's this one. Pierre is good. They're improving. Brevin Kaiser's done a great job at quarterback all season long. He's getting better and better. I think they have a chance to beat Yankton because Yankton's on their 3rd game in 7 days, folks. They're going to be a little worn out. And they got a road trip to Pierre. I think the Governors come out with a win.
James Elson totally disagrees. Pickles is not taking Pierre in this one. He's got Yankton over Pierre. And Harrisburg at Sioux Falls Lincoln.
We agree to disagree on that one. And this one, I'm pretty sure we agree to agree. Lincoln's the best team in the state. Harrisburg has definitely got some horses, team to watch out for, but they're not going to be able to compete up front with the big guys. Lincoln.
Jay Elson also selects Sioux Falls Lincoln in this game. Upset pick of the week, yours.
I'm going to go with Tri-Valley, who's got a home game against Parkston. Tri-Valley's lost a couple games they probably shouldn't have lost earlier in the year, but I think they can compete with Parkston in the ball control area and keep them off the field long enough to get a surprise win.
Jay Elson is taking Jamestown to defeat Bismarck Century. Looks like kind of a toss-up game, but he's going to take Jamestown.
That's how he gets all the upset picks right. He takes toss-up games. No, I'm just kidding. Jay does a great job.
Thank you for watching Varsity Sports.